Still in the chapter ecology, question 2a, state the type of interaction for each of the following. Number 1, oxpecker bird lives on rhino, sustaining itself by eating all the bugs and parasites. So this type of interaction is mutualism. Okay, so which is the oxpecker bird will benefited from the interaction, and so does the rhino. Okay, rhino also benefit from the interaction. Number 2, epiphyte gets nutrients from the air and also use plant for support to get access to sunlight. So in this type of interaction, only the epiphyte gets the benefit from the interaction, but as for the plant, it does not have any effect from that interaction. So it is commensalism. Okay, commensalism. So epiphyte will get the benefit from the interaction and there's no effect towards the plant. Okay. Number 3, the vampire bats feed on blood of other birds. So this one is obviously parasitism. Okay, parasitism. So the vampire bats gets the benefit from the interaction, and as for bird, it has negative effects. Its blood is the food for the vampire bats. Here is just an extra information for you. It says here, epiphytes obtain water from rain and water vapor in the air. Most absorb water with their roots, though many have specialized leaves that also takes in moisture. While some minerals are obtained directly from rain, nutrients are generally absorbed from the debris that collects on the supporting plants. As you can see from this interaction, only the epiphyte benefits from the interaction and there is no effects at all on the plant. Okay, so this is how an epiphyte look like. Okay, so this is epiphyte that lives on the tree trunk. Okay, so this is how an epiphyte interacted with the plant that it lives in. Question B. Explain why intraspecific competition is more extreme than interspecific competition. First, you have to know what is intraspecific competition and interspecific competition. Intraspecific competition is competition between individuals of the same species, and as for interspecific competition, it is competition between individuals of different species. Okay, so why is it that intraspecific competition is more extreme than interspecific competition? So this is because intraspecific competition, okay, involve competition between individuals of the same species, so therefore they use the same resources. So the individual will compete for the same food, for example. Okay, they are competing for the same partner, for example, for mating. Okay, they are competing for the same nest, for example, or shelter. So that's why the effect is more extreme. Okay, and as for that is for the first mark. Okay, they use the same resources, so that's why the effect is more extreme. And as for the second point, okay, is you have to mention the effects of interspecific competition. So for interspecific competition, it involves competition between individuals of different species, so therefore they use different resources. Okay, so in order to reduce the effects of competition, okay, so this individual from different species will adapt by finding different food, okay, in order to survive. Question C. State the competitive exclusion principle. Basically, for this question, it is a question that involves giving definition. Okay, so it is worth 1 mark. Basically, competitive exclusion, it means, okay, no two species can occupy the same niche in the same habitat at the same time. Okay, at the same time. So basically the principle is that when, for example, when there is two species living together in the same habitat, and they are competing for the same food resources or the same space to live in, so they are competing towards each other. Okay, so it means that the stronger species will survive and the weaker one will extinct or die off. Okay, will die. So for example, in your notes it gives you example of paramecium. Okay, two paramecium species, which is paramecium aurelia and also paramecium caudatum. Okay, so when you grow these two paramecium species in separate medium, so the two species will grow very well. Okay, they will grow very well because they have enough food. Okay, they have enough space to live in. Okay, but when you put these two species in the same medium, okay, you put paramecium aurelia and also paramecium caudatum in the same medium, okay, you grow them together, uh, the stronger species will survive and the weaker one will extinct. Okay, will die because they are not able to compete. Okay, with the stronger species. So in this case, when you grow aurelia, paramecium aurelia and caudatum together, the strongest species, which is paramecium aurelia, will survive. Okay, but the paramecium caudatum will will not be able to survive. Okay, so this is paramecium aurelia. Okay, and this is paramecium caudatum. Okay, so paramecium caudatum is the weaker species, so it will not be able to survive to compete to compete for food and space with the paramecium aurelia. Question B. Distinguish between fundamental niche and also realized niche. So this one is worth 2 mark. Again, 1 mark for each term. Okay, so basically fundamental niche is the niche, okay, potentially occupied by a species. And as for realized niche, is the niche actually occupied by a species. Okay, so what is the difference between fundamental niche and realized niche? If you look at the definition for each one, for fundamental niche is the niche potentially occupied by a species. So it means that for fundamental niche, it is the niche when the niche when a species can fully occupy a certain habitat, okay, a certain area, without the presence of the presence of competition from another species. Okay, so for example, in your notes it gives you two types of barnacle, which is you have the cathameles and also the other one is balanus. Okay, cathameles and also balanus. So these are two different types of barnacles that live on rocks. Okay, so for example, this is a rock. Okay, uh, and this is the rock is near. Okay, is submerged with water. Okay, so this is the water. What the part of the rock that is submerged with water. Okay, so the cathameles, okay, when the two species are present in this living in this rock. Okay, there are two species present living on the rock. Okay, so the top one is Catamalis and the bottom one is the Balanus. Okay, the area occupied by the two species, okay, is called as realized niche. Okay, it is the niche occupied by the two species when there is competition for space. Okay, realized niche, it occurs when there is competition for the two species for space. Okay, but okay, for example, if you were to remove the balanus from the rock, okay, you will find that the realized niche and the fundamental niche for Catamalis will be different, will be different. Okay, the fundamental niche for the Catamalis will be much bigger compared to the realized niche. So this is because there is no more presence of competition. So the Catamalis will be uh, able to occupy the whole part of the rock. Okay, so this is fundamental niche. Okay, but it is different for balanus. Okay, so but for balanus, for example, if you were to remove, okay, if you were to remove the Catamalis from the rock, the balanus will still occupy the lower part of the rock. Okay, so it means that for balanus, the fundamental niche, okay, the fundamental niche is the same as the realized niche in the presence of Catamalis. Okay, so this is the fundamental niche for balanus. So why is it different for balanus and also for Catamalis for the fundamental niche of these two species? This is because for balanus, okay, it only can survive in area that has more moisture. Okay, as for Catamalis, it can survive in both areas. It can survive in the drier part of the rock and also in the part that has more moisture. Okay, balanus can only survive in the area that has more moisture. Okay, it cannot survive in the area that is dry. Okay, so the fundamental niche and the realized niche, okay, realized niche for balanus is the same and different for the Catamalis. So it depends on the requirement for each species. So basically, fundamental niche is when the niche of a certain species is fully occupied, okay, without the presence of competition from other species. As for the realized niche, it occurs when there is presence of competition posed by another species. Question E. What might happen if two species have identical niche? So look at the keyword of this question. Okay, identical niche. Two species have identical niche. So this one is basically, we have explained earlier on, which is on question C, which is on competitive exclusion. There is no two species, okay, no two species can occupy the same niche. Okay, so it will end up one species will able to survive because it is the strongest species, and the other one, which is the weaker one, will not be able to survive. It will die off. For this question is basically it is worth 2 marks. So for the first mark, you must state what species will be more successful because it is much more stronger than the other one. Okay, so it will survive and it will reproduce. Okay, but that is for the first mark. For the second mark, you have to explain on the second species, which is the species that is the weaker species. Okay, so the other species will not be able to survive, okay, because they are not able to compete successfully and would eventually die off. Okay, so this one is basically you have to explain on competitive exclusion. Okay, so that's it for question 2. So the next video we are going to discuss on question 3.